I was forced to take piano lessons when I was 8, and I hated it.
So was I.
But my parents said, someday you're gonna wanna know how to play, and they were right. When I was 13, they finally gave in and got me a guitar, and then I was obsessed.
Yeah, it was kind of the same for me too. My parents made me take piano lessons. I hated it. Piano, and I regret not keeping it up because now that's the one thing I kind of can't play. But I picked up a guitar when I was 10, and that was it. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I just stopped doing everything else, like homework and, being a normal person. I just played guitar all day and all night for the rest of my life. I still do. It's very distracting. I've been distracted for 30 years with that guitar. And that was kind of also the catalyst that started the whole thing, You were more balanced than I was.
Well, I always wanted to do it, but everyone, rightly so, they said, you can't make a living being a musician, so.
You gotta put your blinders onto that, man.
Well, somehow, I was lucky to end up here. I was fully prepared. I had a backup plan, I was.
Can't have a backup plan.
You can't.
No,
but, well, I did.
No plan B.
I did. I still made it. I was gonna work in advertising. I went to school, and I was studying that for 4 years almost, but things worked out still.
You talk about your backup plan more than most people.
Well, because people always ask that question, and I was fully ready. I would have a solid career today.
I'm sure you would.
You would be homeless.
I would be homeless. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Other than the lack of a home, of course.
It's true.
I don't know. I was different. I was like, I just didn't have any interests other than that. When I was a kid, I played guitar, and I would always invite people over to my house that I knew had instruments. I wasn't really interested in their friendship. I just wanted them to. I kind of used them. My mom was not happy about that because I'd be like, I knew the one kid have a guitar. I'd be like, come on over. And my mom would kind of scold me for that and say, you can't, that's not cool. But Danny had a guitar. So Danny was coming over because we're gonna make a band. I was super proactive and all that stuff. And I started playing drums then, got way into drums and bass and stuff. But I had no desire to do anything else. It was just that was it. I excelled at it. I was good at it from the beginning. I had a guitar teacher for about 3 or 4 years when I was a kid, take 10 to 14. And he would kind of come over, he was cool. He was like an anti-guitar teacher because he'd come over and he'd say, hey, what songs do you want to learn? Rather than kind of making me do the drudgery of scales and all that stuff. I would always just learn a new song. And so I learned these songs and I was really excelling at it. So I think when you're young and you pick something up quickly and you excel at it and you are passionate about it, it kind of becomes your thing. I was obsessed with it and learning, and then that led to writing songs that I never played for anybody, of course. And I've been kind of writing songs since I was 11 or 12, but I could remember the first ones I wrote too. They were really bad.
Sing it for us.
No, no one will ever know. But it was so much more fun than reality. That's kind of why I always loved it.
And then once you play in front of people too, it's addictive. You get a buzz. It's like a drug. And
I take it for granted all the time. I still have a lot of fun doing it, but I'll never forget when I was young, I would go to clubs in LA just to see any crappy, it didn't even matter what the band was. It was just any band that was playing on the Strip or something. I'd go and see them because when you heard a band through a PA and the first time I ever heard a kick drum through a big PA, it's just it was so powerful. And it's so amazing how we have our ears are plugged with monitors and we're so insulated from that sound right now that because the shows have gotten a lot bigger, whereas when we were playing clubs we could feel that more. But there's nothing as exhilarating as than knowing that what you're doing is going out into a sea of people and they hear every note and it's powerful. It's a really powerful feeling. I don't know, you feel pretty badass when you're up there.
Yeah, it's the best. No matter when we're on tour, no matter how bad I'm feeling throughout the day, as soon as the lights go down and we hear the crowd go up for the first time, I wish I could bottle that feeling because that's the best feeling in the world.
Well, and this is the journey that we've been on with our audiences, because our audiences were big and then they weren't as big and then now they're so big, so they've grown with us, and the feverish kind of pitch of the shows have gotten more intense, and so now when they scream louder than they did 10 years ago, and it's just such a rewarding, exciting, exhilarating feeling for us. We're lucky, because no one, we have a lot of new fans, so it's really crazy energy now. It's like a frantic energy when we play, and it's very infectious, and I think our shows have gotten better as a result.
Totally, yeah, we work so hard in the studio, perfecting every little sonic detail. We want to make sure that comes through live, because I've been to shows where I've been disappointed with the sound live, and it's a bummer. You want to give the fans the total experience, and so having great sound that's where you start. That's the most important thing.
And also, sound companies are no different than any company, where some companies kind of thrive on the constantly inventing new things, then are kind of gimmicky, and a lot of them fall by the wayside. And it seems like JBL is really serious about sound. Like, that's kind of their primary focus, even though they do make things to keep up with the times. At the end of the day, they don't want anything that they make to sound like crap. There are a lot of modern things that are invented that kind of are, oh, you can have music here or there, and it's convenient and it's easy, kind of going along with the weird MP3 crappy sound culture that unfortunately we're in right now. And I think that JBL probably tries their best to make it all sound good primarily, which is really important to us. And a lot of the other companies just don't treat sonic quality as a very important thing. It kind of seems like a lot of the crap that's out there doesn't sound very good, and most people don't really care about that, but we do. So. I made a very conscious effort at a certain point in my life as a performer and as a musician, as a songwriter. I kind of thought, it's never going to be as good or as revolutionary as the bands that we grew up with, like the Nirvanas and the bands that were breaking ground and forging new territory. So I kind of started thinking, well, what really comes naturally to me as a singer and as a writer? And I started listening to the records I grew up with, the Michael Jackson records and Prince records and stuff that I kind of blew off in the early 90s, because I was listening to K-Rock every day and kind of like FU with World and Young and angsty and shit. So it was kind of one of those times that I didn't pay attention to those great songs. And then I came back to listening to all those old pop records that we all loved that were kind of painfully uncool during that time. It was like not the thing.
Yeah.
And I got way into pop music, so I wanted to go in that direction and kind of be a pop version of the R&B records that we loved, which was kind of weird. I mean, nobody really thought that was very cool at the time.
No.
I don't know if they even still do think that's cool at all.
Someday they will.
But I don't really give a shit.
After getting into music, with that whole sort of grunge wave, I discovered jazz. And
It's not grunge, bro. Don't embarrass me. It's not what it's called.
What do you call it?
It's just music.
It's just music. After getting into music,
that's what corporate America wants you to call it. Right?
That's
not
right.
what it really was. It was just music.
I apologize.
God.
I'm sorry.
Damn it.
To all of you music artists.
Music artists.
Yeah, and I got into jazz pretty soon after I picked up the guitar, because it's just it just goes so deep. It's such a rich sort of language. I really got into trying to figure out how to get into that, and that really helped me get into this band, because these guys were getting into that around the same time, and so they could hear that I sort of had some of that under my fingers.
We've had a strange trajectory as a band, because we grew up in a very different musical climate, and I think what we all realized was trying to chase some sort of weird dragon of being a band like that just wasn't feasible. It just wasn't in our DNA, really. And so now we're in this suit, we've kind of gone way over to the pop side, and I kind of love just trying to push ourselves to make songs that are hugely successful and big and popular, so that we can have more fun at our concerts and connect with an audience on that kind of international scale that we've somehow managed to propel ourselves to, and pushing ourselves to make songs that connect with people even more, and do better every time. That's what inspires me. It's really less a matter of, I think you get to a certain point too as a writer or as a band or whatever, when you pay less attention to what's going on around you musically and try to kind of just do whatever you want. I don't know, I used to sing like other people, I used to try to write songs like other artists, and now I think that we let it flow more freely and don't really care what type of song it is, as long as it's a song that we love. And I think that our identity is that much more kind of stamped if we approach it that way, rather than saying, well, this or that influences me. I think you get to a certain point in your life where it doesn't influence you as much, because you're hopefully trying to develop your own identity and kind of going with that. And there will be, things that it sounds like at certain points, but it's more unconscious. I don't think it's like a and earlier, when you're younger and you're kind of figuring out what you love, I think you tend to imitate more. We tried so many things. It's almost embarrassing how many things we tried before we finally landed on what we landed on.
Totally.
It was like, there were a million different things. Try everything. You don't need to have an identity until you find one that you really love. That's what we did. We tried it all.